I think this idea of like going straight to ChatGPT to just ask stuff and get ideas is awesome. What's the next step after that? So now you kind of like, are you always building in-house? Are you bringing in some outside expertise? Are you do you, for some of the larger companies, do you have, are you seeing more folks set up like innovation labs, where there's people in a role like yours that are tasked specifically to play with the new stuff coming out? And
I wish there were. It's kind of a dream job, honestly. I at a company I worked at previously, my previous roles is a little more kind of in your realm. It's more like CTO, CIO type techie kind of a roles. In my previous role, I got to go out to Cupertino and work with Apple's innovation lab, and then I went to San Francisco and worked with Airbnb's innovation lab. And I was like, I love this idea. Why aren't there more of these that are out there? But I know why. It's because they're really expensive, and probably this generative AI thing. We were on it early, and it's put us in a really good position. But I've probably thrown out 10 times more ideas than we've ever used, and I get there's an expense there. But if you ever hit one, it can be really beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key, right? Like that's the hard part, that it's like you can have a great idea, it has to be done. You've still got some institutional momentum that's going a different direction. In some cases, it's so obvious that you have to pivot, but almost always there's costs involved, whether it's monetary, whether it's time, whether it's we have to do this other thing to get there. And like a lot of traditional businesses just have a hard time leveraging innovation, even if they had their own Xerox Park or they had their own, Apple Innovation Lab. So
yeah, it's just a classic innovator's dilemma, right? Like we have this engine that's making all of our money. And what you're saying is we need to throw out some or all or some portion of that and take a risk on something that we don't know is going to work. And the problem is, right, if you don't take that leap, you don't take that risk, you'll get out innovated and you'll become obsolete. But you can also, and I think it's important to understand that there's a risk to doing it, right? Like you can take that risk and it doesn't work, right? Like you go all in on some tech or some concept and it doesn't work. And you're like, man, if we would have just stuck with what our cash cow was and hadn't diverted all these resources, we'd be in a much better position. And that is the dilemma. And I think it's a very fair struggle, and it's fair conversation to have inside of any organization. But man, I would hope that most companies could spare one person, just spare somebody to go put off in a room to the side and let them research and come to the executive meeting, once a month or something, once a quarter, and say, these are all the cool things that are out here. That person should become really good friends with the head of product.